Today on VLAMP, we're showing you how to create this awesome intro sequence. Welcome everyone to VLAMP, Video, Lighting, Audio, Music, and Photography How-To Show. I'm of course your host, Matt Haslam, and today we're showing you how to create this awesome intro sequence. Now, we were recently asked how to create this intro sequence for all of our Halloween productions, and we recently filmed a series of Halloween productions for all of the local towns near us, including St. Clair, PA, which is the one that we have in the project file here. But if you're not aware, I'm a huge, huge fan of the show Stranger Things on Netflix, which is, that title right there on the left-hand side in your source monitor up here. And if you weren't aware, that's kind of the theme of our intro sequence for all the Halloween parades this year. And we wanted something very simple to basically take a subsequence into a new project file and just basically drag and drop this intro sequence, change the name of the town, and boom, now we have our intro sequence for the next parade. Because if you're not aware, all the Halloween parades this year were done, they were filmed, and then within maybe 5-6 hours of their actual live recording, they were actually broadcast live on our YouTube channel. So we needed something very simple to drag and drop in here, including the end credits, which again is very simple but of a similar style with the text. And so basically we modeled this entire intro sequence sort of out of the intro sequence for Stranger Things. As you can see, the text comes in here, the text also comes in here, and then it switches to another letter, switches to another letter for just a couple seconds, then switches to another letter, letters going past each other, and we basically made a whole bunch of letters here. And as you're going to see as we go through here and making this intro sequence again, these letters actually spell out the name later on, which is St. Clair, PA Halloween Parade. And these are the titles that we're using to make all of these little letters going past your screen. And so we're going to show you how to do that, as well as the background images there with the bats and all the sounds. As you can tell, it's a lot more than what you'd think. It's actually quite complex down here in the audio edit. Then we switch to this screen, and normally in a Stranger Things episode, this Stranger Things title would fade out, and then you'd have the episode title fade in, and the episode title would come towards you, just like that. And so we wanted that to be the presented by Matt Haslam Productions, which basically, because we wanted our name in here because we're executive producers on this project, so it was the simplest way to put our company name in there. And then we fade down and right into whatever parade we're actually, the actual recording of the parade itself. But now that we actually show you the basics of it, we're going to actually go through here and create a new sequence. That way we can create this whole intro sequence again. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this in the same kind of settings that we had for our cameras that we were recording on. And we were using a DSLR at 1080p at 30 frames per second. It was recording 1920 by 1080p, and it was recording 29.97 frames per second, so that's great. I'm just going to name this VLAMP intro, just because I don't want to get confused here in my project panel. And the first thing you're going to see is we actually have this music. Well, where do we get that music from? It sounds very similar to the I'm going to let you listen for just a second because I can't have too much in the copyrights here. Sounds very similar to the actual Stranger Things episode intro. So where we actually found that was under the audio library for YouTube. If you just go into your Creator Studio, you go down here to Create, and you have Audio Library. You can search for Strange Stuff, which is the actual title of this track, or you can just search through a whole bunch of different tracks that are available for you to use copyright free. This one's called Strange Stuff, and it sounds very similar to the intro of Stranger Things. So someone did a play on words with strange stuff there. And it's a really great track, but I just downloaded it here, and then I brought it into my project panel. I also, as I was going through here, I'm just going to show you a couple things, other things I downloaded, including Hollow Wind, which is like a wind going by kind of thing, as you can hear right now. Because I wanted something like spooky, I downloaded a track down here called Bats Sound Effect of bats going by. You also have thunder cracks, different thunder cracks all through here, and we're going to choose from this later on which one we want to use in different places, as you're going to see in the edit a little bit later. I also went through here and found some Halloween animations. So you have this one in YouTube called Halloween Animation by David Turaunstein. But this is the intro footage that we use initially, and then you see, bats going by and stuff. Here, you can tell like there's no audio here at all that we can actually use. So I had to create my own audio, and I just cut off this whole part because this is not something we want to use, because we're in 2017 now, and I don't like this animation here at the end, so I just cut that off where it starts there, and I cut it off right here. So all you see is the moon. And then we used another animation by Manuel Bejarno, which is this little hand coming out and a bird over here flying away. So you're going to see these animations later. We just downloaded them by copying and pasting this link up here into, you just search for YouTube to MP4 file format. You can go to Online Video Converter and paste the link in, find your MP4, start conversion, and then download from there. And so that way you can have these clips in your videos. You're going to download them in 720p, and you just have to scale them up a little bit, as you're going to tell in the edit just in a second here. But as long as you give credit to the people that you're taking the clips from, and as long as they give you permission in their descriptions of like, hey, this is stock footage, this is copyright free, as long as you credit me, that's fine. You should be able to use the clips. Just make sure anytime you're using a clip that you're able to do so with no problems. So basically we're going to start off here from scratch, and we're going to show you how we made this. Now this is our initial video. Like I said, right here I'm going to cut it off right where the pumpkin starts to come in, and I'm going to keep existing settings because this is 1920 by 1080 subsequence here, which I'm going to use for my actual project once we get into, once we actually film a parade, I would put that 1920 by 1080 sequence right next to this, and that way I don't have to change any settings later on. So now this is in 1920 by 1080. I want to put 150 scale on here just so it's the right size. Anytime you're scaling up from 720 to 1920 by 1080, you're scaling up 150% scale there. So boom, now we have that. And the next thing we need is, basically right here, you're going to see this wasn't quite long enough for me to use. So what I did was I just took a little second video clip here, and you're going to tell like right here the speed and duration is just 2 seconds. So I'm going to take a whole bunch of these. I'm not going to do it here live, but basically that's all I did. I just created a whole bunch of like 2-second long clips of the rain falling in the background. So it's the same as that clip over and over and over again. Basically what happens is the last 2 seconds here of this clip right here just repeats over and over and over again throughout here. Okay? That way I'm just extending the life of this clip by a little bit. It doesn't matter too much because remember we're going to have text and graphics all over this. So it's going to be hidden. Okay? The next we want is this animation, which is your the bird and the hand coming through the grave and stuff like that. So that is actually over here in Halloween animation number 1. I already have it marked what I want, my in and my out, so I'm just going to use that. And boom, now we cut to that scene. Now I want that at 150% as well. And then as we go back here, you're going to notice again I used the last couple seconds of that hand going back and forth. Over here, what I actually did was speed duration of this is at 100%, but the speed and duration of this one is in reverse. So basically, if you just choose a couple seconds of a video clip and say it's in forward and then reverse, forward then reverse, you don't notice that the hand, as long as you're not like someone talking or something like that, then it's a little bit different. But if it's just something simple like this animation and your graphic is going to be over top of it anyway to really hide it, it doesn't matter if you go back and forth. So like right here, that's just playing, this clip right here is just playing this clip in reverse. And now you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you don't notice that the hand didn't actually move that long. It's just going reverse, forward, reverse, forward. Go to the end here, and now I have all those clips going back and forth. And then this one finally has some opacity to it, where I go from 100% to 0% at a certain keyframe. And that way I can actually, that way I can actually go from the animation here, and I can fade down to my actual footage of the parade. And that way it's not just a cut in the edit, because I don't like cuts going from an intro that I'm creating beforehand to actual footage of whatever it actually is. So now we're going to do some sound clips, because now we basically know exactly what's going to be in the video. This is all kind of like timed out. I already know, hey, this is going to work here, that's going to work over there. I already know that. In an actual edit that you're making for the first time, you're not going to know how long you need a certain clip to last. So, for instance, right here where I repeat that over and over and over again, you're not going to know you need to repeat that until you get into the audio mix, which we're going to get into right now. The first thing in the audio mix is the Strange Stuff track, which at the very end I faded down so that it actually goes away. I'm just going to copy and paste the Strange Stuff clip from this one because it is actually keyed in the correct place. And this way the music fades down at the same time the video clip fades down. And I extended the audio a little bit further because I want the audio to go underneath whatever video clip I have from the beginning of the actual footage of the parade. And that way, it's not so much of a drastic cut between the intro and the actual footage. I wanted it to fade together. So now it comes up, and now you're seeing this lightning. Well, I don't like seeing something that I can't hear. So now you think about like, well, I'm in a graveyard, probably it's pretty spooky there, so I want some wind behind. Just because in theory, if there's thunder and lightning, there's probably a storm going on. There's probably some wind there. So what I did was I added some wind, and boom, now I have an extra little bit that just makes it that much more realistic. It isn't 100% perfect yet, but at least it adds to the credibility of how this clip is. And you can see bats coming out there. I can't hear the bats. What's with that, you know? And so now we start adding some thunder. Now from this, I just basically took the thunder crack clip here and the thunderstorm clip, and I chose some different parts of the different, in the thunderstorm long clip here, you see 4 different times thunder cracks, and I just chose those in random order down here in the edit, and I added them wherever I saw an actual crack of thunder. So I will show this to you. I just want to make sure it all is perfect in here. But basically what I did was, anytime you see a white flash on the screen, you're also hearing a thunder crack. And that way it adds that little bit of credibility to, now I can actually hear the thunder. And I actually spaced it out where it's not immediate, because in real life, when you see thunder, you actually hear it just a split second later. So you're going to see where I actually see the thunder is right about there, but the real thunder doesn't come in until about here, the actual sound of the thunder. So that way you're hearing it just a split second later, and that's how real life would actually be. And now I have all my thunder in here. Well, the next thing I need is down here, my bats. Because there's bats going across the screen, I want to make sure that people can hear that. Now on this, I did some fading, because in theory, when the bats go off screen, you're not going to hear them anymore. They're going to be going away from you, away from where the person holding the camera would be, basically. And in the bat sound effect clip I have, it's actually quite long. It's about, what is it? 15 seconds long, right? But the bats are only actually on the screen for, let's see, they're on the screen for 2 seconds, which is a whole lot shorter. So I needed to fade the audio up here in the audio effects panel, and that way you're only actually hearing them when they're actually on screen. I also faded them in a little bit, just because you're going to hear them before you actually see them here. Because they're coming towards you, you're going to hear them coming in, and then you're going to hear them at the loudest when they're all there on the screen. That's when the bats are going to be the loudest. And then I faded them away once they go off screen. So basically, I'm going to bring this clip in, one more clip, into our project panel over here. And now you have actual bats there. All right. And then next is an audio clip that I actually recorded the same way I'm recording this video. Well, I'm recording in OBS Studio, but I actually recorded it just by using the voiceover command in Adobe Premiere, and I just hit this little mic button, and then it allows you to record a voiceover. And so right here, when it cuts to presented by, I just recorded myself saying, video coverage of this year's Halloween parade is brought to you by MattHaslamProductions.com, the area's most recommended video and photography services since 2001. Saying that line, and you can say whatever tagline you want to say, but I chose to say something about my company. And when you create your intro sequence, you can talk about whatever you need to talk about while you're on screen. So I'm going to go back to home here and copy that in. That way we can actually hear that while we're talking about it. And I brought that audio in as soon as you see this screen, this animation. I brought the audio in where I'm actually saying video coverage of tonight's parade is brought to you by this company. Because I remember right here is going to be our title for what town we're in, what parade this actually is. And right here is going to be our animation for the graphic for the company and the logo for the company. So now going back to this, the pre-made one, you're going to see this text right here. For copies of this broadcast, go to this website basically. And that I want to push because that's how our company kind of made money on this whole production. So let's create that title. Now, one thing you should know about the titles that we're going to create here, as you can tell, a lot of the titles, many of the titles here are actually moving across the screen, and you only see tiny parts of the text moving across the screen. So here you see a G, right? Moving out, an E moving across the screen, a P, and then you're not actually seeing the whole text. So the problem becomes if you create your text in this 1920 by 1080 frame, it's going to look blurry once you blow it up. Now, this initial text we can create in 1920 by 1080 because if you look here, basically you're seeing all the text right there, which is absolutely fine. So that's what we're going to do. But as we go through here and other pieces of the text, we're actually going to create in a much, much larger format. So we're going to create a new text sequence here. And we're going to say for copies of this broadcast, and I just need a simple thing there. And right here we're going to put text for of this broadcast, and then a colon. I just used very simple text here. So I just found a text that I actually liked, which looked, again, very similar to another production that we all know and love that we just saw the intro sequence for. Trying to get back to it now. All right, so here it is. I used this text, Adobe Katie STD. Okay, it's a very good text for what we need right here. All right, so over here we're going to come in with, where's it at? See, this is why I don't create text for copies of this broadcast, right? And you just go all the way down here on the list of different fonts, and right here, Adobe Katie STD, we're going to use that. Now what we want to do is font style regular. I want to keep that kind of size going with the font size. But now down here, I want a outer stroke on all the text, and I want that to be a very red color. And I want that solid, but I don't actually want the inner. So I don't want to fill there. I want to check that off because I don't want that. I want to make the edges, the outer stroke, a little bit thicker, and then I want to bring the text up a little bit just so I can see it a little bit better on the screen. Probably about 20 there. That would be good enough for the text here. For copies of this broadcast, click here. Now, if you notice something, everything here is full on caps, so that's exactly what we're going to do. And actually, if you look at the title sequence over here, you're going to notice it's all caps for Stranger Things. And that's kind of what we're replicating here. So we're going to go back into this and do caps lock for copies of this broadcast. And we're going to bring that text down a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a little rectangle in the same way. And I want to bring the outer edge of that down to maybe like 10 or something, or actually even smaller. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Broadcast. Now I want some more text. And I want this a two-liner. Go to Matt Haslam Productions.com/merchandise. Alright, now this I want an outer stroke of white because I want to make it look different from everything else. I want it smaller as well. So I want that. And I also want it to be right about there. And I'm going to just bring it over here and bring everything up until I have the full screen. So that is our first actual text for this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to effects panel, film dissolve to bring it in, and a film dissolve to bring it out. I'm also going to put a film dissolve on the animation just so it doesn't look as choppy. So now I have, for copies of this broadcast, go to this website, and then it fades down, which is really good. Now the next thing we need is this first title here that comes in like this, all right? Now, if you're wondering how we actually made that, this is how we made it. We created a new sequence, all right? We go over here to settings. We still want the 29.97 frames per second, but now we actually want some 6K footage. 3072. All right. Now we have a huge frame. 6144 by 3072. All right. $61.44. All right. That's good for me. All right. And I'm just going to name this text because later on we're going to get rid of this. Okay. This is just so we can have some 6K footage on our screen. All right. 6144 by 3072. All right. So title, we're going to put in parade here. Okay. And now we're actually going to create some of the text that we actually will end up using in our title sequence. So we're going to put in St. We're going to do all caps, St. Clair, PA. And then all of that will be in the same font as before, way down here, KDSDD. We're going to bring it up quite a bit to here. We don't want to fill on it. We do want an outer stroke. Again, I want red. I want that to be a little bit thicker of a line, but not too thick, actually. Right about 20 again. That's pretty good. And bring that to there. I want another one, another text. For Halloween parade. I'm going to bring that down so it basically fits in the same general amount of area. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The text for the T will be at, let's say, 650 size, as well as all of this. because I want the capital letters to stick out a little bit more. I'm going to center that up, and I also want to center it on the screen. Center it, and center it. Okay. Now, what I want to do is, as you're going to tell, the Stranger Things actual logo has some lines on it, and we want the parade to actually have lines on it as well. So I'm going to kind of just do that so we can see everything all at once here. And I'm going to create little boxes for the whole thing. I want line to line coverage for these graphics because I like having everything look really good in the end. And I want things to, fill the screen. And then down here, I'm going to bring in these a little bit. And in my other logo, I did this a little bit differently. This Halloween parade was a bit smaller, but it's absolutely fine. I can do that. Center that up. And now we have our parade logo. So now if we bring, let's say, that text from the parade actually right above here, and I'm going to turn linking on so it's a lot easier. Right? Now look how big that text is actually on the screen. So I need to actually scale that down to a regular size for it to actually fit on this 1920 by 1080 screen. And that's why in our actual intro package, it looked really clear because now you have a 6K footage screen right here, and it's only on a 1920 by 1080 background. So that's why it looked really, really clear. The next thing we need to do with that same text is all of these little tiny inserts. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that text and copy it a whole bunch of times. I'm going to take it right there. And I want, just so I can get the timing right here, I'm going to just copy these over just for a second. Bear with me, just so I can get everything absolutely perfect. And I'm just going to do this, just so we can get the text all timed perfectly. Now, what I actually did with this is I took the Stranger Things actual intro, and I put my text over top of that intro, just to make sure it's all 100% perfectly in timing with each other. As you can see, the text here, the top text is from our design, where this text just comes into the screen. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that away, and we're going to actually go up here and zoom in to about 200% or 250 or so. Actually, I'm going to go 250 just because I like that a little bit better. And we're going to go into the sea of the Claire and go in a bunch here, like 1,000%. And as you can see, it gets a little bit blurry, but that's okay. Because remember, we're going to be coming back out of that now. And we're going to keyframe it. So in the very beginning here, it's going to be scale and position keyed. And then we go over to a couple seconds later, the end of that clip. And we're going to scale out, move it in a little bit. And we're going to position it so maybe it's right about there. All right. And now what we do is we simply play it back to see if it looks okay. All right, so that looks really good. And I just want to make sure those keyframes are at the very end of that clip, so I'm just going to move them over really quick. And sometimes that's what you have to do, because the very last frame, it actually cuts to the next clip. So I always like do it somewhere right about here or so, just to see what it's going to look like, and then I move those keyframes over. And now this next one goes up, as in the actual logo comes in, then the next clip goes up, or down, I should say. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a letter go in that direction. Now I'm going to get rid of the template, and I'm going to go into my effects here. Again, zoom in. What I'm going to zoom in on this time is probably going to be, let's say, the E, an E down here in Halloween. So I'm going to zoom in. And like I said, all these titles are all comes from this one text, this one title from here. Okay, so everything is just one different text with different movements and keyframes over and over and over again. So I'm going to keyframe it right there, scale and position, move that over to the very beginning. I go there, and I'm going to just move it up and put a keyframe on this scale just so I have it. And now we have something that looks like this. All right, so here, this is actually the P of parade, or I believe, but we're going to make it the P of the PA. We're going to get rid of the template again, and we're going to position and scale, zoom in until we get to the P over here. And what this P does is moves down and to the right. So we're going to make this do the same thing. So now we have right about there. I want it. Move that to the very beginning. Then we want it down there, down there. And I want it there. All right, so now we have 2 lines. Okay, so how we're going to do this is we're actually going to take this clip right here, copy it, paste it again, and we're going to do a crop. So we're going to go into our effects panel, which is right up here, type in crop, drag and drop crop to both of these, and I'm actually going to crop this image as well, because I don't like that line being in there. So go back to our effects controls and take our top down to there, just so we're not seeing that line in there. All right, now over here, I'm going to take this crop down to, actually I'm going to take the bottom first, just so we don't have that. This bottom one I'm going to crop to down here. So that way all we're seeing is the Halloween parade, right? And then left and right I'm going to bring in as well to only see the actual Halloween and parade letters. And nothing here has to be absolutely dead on perfect. It just has to be good. So we're going to edge feather 0. Just make sure nothing is weird there. Scale this up now to right about there, and scale this up to right about there, just so the letters are quite big. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to put this over there a little bit. And I'm going to take this text and move it over there a little bit. And now I'm going to keyframe position on both of these. Move them to the very beginning. And then keyframe again. And I'm going to have this move to the right, the top one move to the right, and I have the bottom one move to the left, which is very similar to, guess what it is? Right there. It's similar to that right there, where top moves to the right, bottom moves to the left. So now, our actual Stranger Things comes in, and this is basically now our main title that's at 100% now. But now we want to make these lines move in. In the actual Stranger Things logo, they do all these letters come together and stuff, but for the purposes of this intro, we don't want something that crazy. You could do something similar with just a ton of cropping every single letter differently, and now every single letter can come in at its own time and its own speed. But for this, we want every letter to come in all together and just fade in. And all the letters are there, but we want the lines on the top and bottom to have their own keys. So here's what we're going to do. All the letters are there. We want to now copy that, paste it twice, because each line is going to have its own keyframe. We're going to crop again. And we're going to crop out from each one of these. We're going to crop. And actually, now that I think about it, we want a fourth one there, just because. So on this one, we're going to crop in to just have St. Clair, PA. On this one, we're going to crop in just so we have Halloween Parade. I'm actually going to do something that I did over here. Use the same crop as that, because I don't feel like doing it over again. And then on this one, we're going to crop in to just have that top line. And then we're going to crop into just the bottom two lines there. So I'm going to crop in there. Bring it down. So now we have just this line. We're going to do one more of those, just so we have the other line. So we're actually creating a bunch of different lines here, and that's absolutely fine. Bunch of different programs. Sorry, bunch of different little tiny parts of this same image. And all this just takes time, and that's absolutely fine. Graphics are one of the most difficult things that you'll do in your entire career, and it takes time to make them. But that is absolutely fine, because making graphics perfect is all part of the job. And let's see. Why is that not coming up? And sometimes things just go wrong, and that's absolutely fine. There we go. Sometimes you just have things reversed, and that's fine too. Alright, so now that we have each of these as its own little part of the image, what we're going to do is we're going to have all of these lines come in just as they do in this logo. They come in from the middle, and they go outward, and that's just a simple crop. So, we're going to take all three of these lines now, and we're going to put another crop on them, on all three of them. So, put a crop on this, crop on the second line, and a crop on the third line. Okay? And now, effects controls, what we're going to do is we're going to hide these first crops, because we no longer have to worry about making them their own individual parts, right? We're going to put a keyframe on all three of them, on the left and right. And that way, the actual logo will reveal itself over time. And we're going to put all those at the very beginning of our clip, just because that's when it actually starts. And now we're going to go further over here and put another keyframe, because that's where they're going to end. And we're going to move these keyframes to the very end of this clip. Because we don't want the animation to stop before the actual clip goes off of the viewer screen. We're going to the very, very beginning here and put 50% in each one of these, so that it starts in the very middle. And we want that same thing to be on all three of these. 50%, 50%. Make sure you actually hit 50 instead of just 5. 50, 50. And now, as we play the logo, those lines reveal themselves. Alright? And now you actually have the logo there. Now that the actual logo is all made, the very next thing to make is our presented by screen. So how we did that, we actually used two different fonts. The one is presented by is just function LH up here, and then we put the line in just like we did before, and all of this text is function as well. The Matt Haslam Productions, the actual name is in bold, and this is in regular typeface. So because this is the same thing as we did for all of our other titles, I've already shown you how to create those lines. I've already shown you how to get the outlines and stuff. I'm not going to show that again here. I'm just going to show how we put the logo in there and how we make it move. So starts there. And what I did over here, as you're going to notice, the motion is going crazy over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this motion, all these keyframes just go away, because I don't want to actually like show you. I want to actually show you how to move that logo around. So it's title 1, copy 4. I want that to go there, right? And so I'm going to do position and scale right now. Scale goes right here. And all right, so what's going on there? So I want that to actually fade up. So I'm going to bring that up there. And I'm going to put the effect on of dissolve, film dissolve. I love using film dissolve on a lot of things, as you're going to notice. I'm going to make that come in a little bit faster because I don't like it. Video coverage of this year's Halloween parade is brought to you by MattHaslamProductions.com. Alright, so I want to hold the logo right there until I get done saying the actual name of the company. And once I start that, I can actually start adding the effect of how this thing's going to move. So right here, I'm going to make it temporal interpolation, auto brassiere, because I want it to go smoothly into the next motion it's going to do. Most recommended video and photography services since 2001. I'm going to go in, and I actually want this clip to go fading right into the P here, the middle of the P. And again, I created this text all within 6K footage. That way, once I get this much in, it's going to get blurry, but if you only created it in 1920 by 1080 footage, it gets so much more blurry, and it's just unrecognizable. So you need 6K footage titles on all of this. In the Stranger Things episodes, everything's in 4K to go on Netflix, and so they probably created all their titles in something like 16K footage, just because they needed to do all of these movements that are really weird. So that's exactly the kind of thing we're doing, only we're creating everything in 1920 by 1080, which means we can scale everything down to just making 6K our go-to thing for our footage, for our titles. I'm actually going to take that off of that and make it just video. No, I want. Sometimes Premiere is very weird in how it acts, so I'm just going to go in here and make another couple of keyframes to make sure it stays at that constant 61% scale. Video coverage of this year's Halloween parade is brought to you by MattHaslamProductions.com. And now I want another little keyframe here just to tell it I want to go into that spot. .com, the area's most recommended video and photography services since 2001. Alright, and now I want to fade down from 100% to 0% over the course of this entire action. So I want 0% there. Services since 2001. And I want all this movement to take place over a longer period of time. I don't want it that fast. Most recommended video and photography services since 2001. Now in the actual Stranger Things title sequence, you'll have the name of the episode there, and the name of the episode basically is white, and then it fades away to reveal the actual video clip of the start of the actual episode. And how they do that is they create a title sequence, a title just like this, with some text on it. Let's say episode name goes here, right? And they'll actually color it something like green. And let's say Times New Roman, or let's say Arial, just to make it easy on ourselves, right? And then we hit bold or something like that just to make the episode a little more clear. And what you'll end up doing is, rather than all this, rather than the name of the company that's sponsoring the video or whatever, let's say you have the episode name instead, right? Now we're going to fade into that. We're going to take that out as long as the other clip was. We're going to put the same motion on it. But now we're going to do an effect called key. And we're going to ultra key out the green on this whole clip. And basically, we're going to go through that text. And that's how they do it. They basically make the text go white and then keyframe the ultra key in, so it actually goes from green to whatever color video clip you have behind this title sequence. For our purposes here, for our intro sequence, we just have the name of the company that's sponsoring the whole project, and we go through it, and then it all fades down, and we fade into whatever video clip we have to start the actual production. But that's just the intro sequence. How did we actually create the ending sequence? Basically, this is the same exact text that we had before for copies of this broadcast. We have another clip presented by the production company name, directed by me, and music by these people, assets by these people, graphics by me, and then copyright information. All the same as our initial for copies of this broadcast go to this, right? It's just a matter of how much text you have down here and what text you have up here for copies of this broadcast, right? It's all the same. The only difference is now our music is still Strange Stuff by, who was it? By Matt Harris, right? Still a Strange Stuff audio track underneath it. We don't have any more lightning or hello wind below here because we just want simple music behind everything. But now we have these assets, and these come from Rampant Design. You can go to rampantdesigntools.com and buy all these, but typically, but a really good way to actually get all these assets is to just go to their free website, which basically is right here. If you go to this website, rampantdesigntools.com / KVMSOI SDF, basically there's a part of their website where they give out free projects and free assets. Now, what you should be warned is you're only getting so many, and so in each one of these you're only getting 4 or 5 assets in each different subject matter. So you're only getting 4 reflections, you're only getting 4 film light transitions, and they want you to use those 4 or 5 and then want to buy more, and so this is like a free asset little sample pack of each one of these. And all of these clips from Rampant come from their dust package, which if you open up all of their stock assets, we have assets from Creative Live, we have assets from Cinecom, we have our own assets, and then Rampant Design, and Dust Spark and Embers. All of the assets are right here in this. They are Dust 31, Dust 59, and Dust 83. All right there for you. And you just go through here, and we had the music sync up with where we have a big punch in the music, which is right here at this point, right there. All of a sudden we changed from 83, which is a very tame little background of dust particles going around, to all of a sudden where that music hits, now you have a big cloud of dust coming in with the with number 31 in the dust pack. And then as we go through here, it fades into dust pack 59. And if you watch Stranger Things episodes, you kind of know their whole theme of the Upside Down has like dust particles going around. And so we kind of designed even this end credits package after that, the Upside Down. And basically just has these dust particles going around, and this is all free stuff that you can get from online from Rampant Design to use in your projects absolutely for free. I credit them in the videos because I just want to credit them because they're really, really good tools to use. But I didn't actually pay for any of the assets that I got from them because of that whole free website that I showed you. So that is how we actually created the whole intro sequence here and the whole end credits sequence right here. So that's it. It's really quite simple to create an intro and outro sequence like the Stranger Things has in all of their episodes. I really love their intro sequence, and that's why I decided to emulate it in this year's Halloween Parade's intro and outro sequences. It was really quite easy. It took a little bit of time at first to understand how to do it, but once I got going, it was really quite easy to make all this stuff. And all the stuff, like I said, is free to use. And I found all these clips and all these assets absolutely for free. So I know you guys can make it in your programs for free. Although we use Premiere in our editing for this project, I know you can create a similar thing in Final Cut and in all other video programs out there today. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode of how to create an intro sequence like Stranger Things. And if you like this episode, please do hit that red subscribe button down there below. And while you're at it, hit the like button. And if you really, really love our show and you want it to continue, please do think about going to mhnews.info or matthaslamproductions.com/blog and hitting that donate button to help us make more episodes like this in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see us next time here on VLAMP Video Lighting, Audio, Music, and Photography How-To Show. Our episodes air every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every single day we have a brand new video coming out at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have a brand new live stream coming to you every first Monday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we answer all of your questions and comments from the previous month. So if you have any questions or concerns or comments for us, or suggestions for brand new episodes, please do leave them in the comments below of any of our videos, and we will answer those questions during the monthly live stream. Thank you so much, and see us next time. Bye for now.